Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Cemetery Strolls. Today we're at Niton on the Isle of Wight at the St John's the Baptist Church. The church was founded by William Fitz-Osmond and given to an abbey in Normandy. In the Victorian era it was extensively restored and rebuilt. The nave may be 11th century, as may be the Norman font. The north aisle was added at the end of the 12th century and the south aisle shortly afterwards. In the 14th century the chancel was rebuilt and the south porch was added. In the 15th century a chapel was added south of the chancel and east of the south aisle. A fourth centred arch was inserted in the south wall of the chancel to a link with the chapel. The north aisle was demolished, its arcade filled in, and the two light Palencia Gothic windows inserted in each of its filled in arches. The perpendicular Gothic west tower was added towards the end of the 15th century. The square-headed windows in the south aisles were inserted in the 16th century, and a spire was added to the tower, probably early 17th century. On the wall can be found a memorial portrait of John Flaxman, showing a woman holding pelicans in her hand in relief. Near the South Celtic cross, a marble monument marks the grave of Edward Edwards, which is the gentleman we've come to see today. We will hear more in a bit. The pioneer of public library movement in Britain. The churchyard also contained 4 Commonwealth war graves for service personnel, 3 from World War I and 1 from World War II. Right, this is the entrance of the church with a little gate. This was created in the memory of William Sales MA, rector of Niton from 1890 to 1918. So this is the sad bit, so I find, this is probably green grass, beautiful, and then it just gets left. In loving memory of Basil, darling babe of Arthur and Maud Peach. Died December the 6th, 1915, 83 months. And this is what I mean, just in the woods. There's no way for a child to be remembered. Here we have Frederick John Bastini, at birth in 1878. He died the 12th of November 1909. He drowned. We have John McCallum Swan, born the 9th of December 1846, and passed away on the 14th of February 1910. He was an English painter and a sculptor. Swan was born in Brentford, Middlesex on the 9th of December 1846. He received his art training first in England at Worcester and Lambeth School of Arts and the Royal Academy. Subsequently in Paris in the studios of Jean-Léon Gérôme and Emmanuel Fenech, he began to exhibit at the Academy in 1878. His picture, Prodigal Son, bought for the Chancery collection in 1889, and now in the Tate Britain, establishes his reputation as an artist. He married artist Mary Rankin Swan in Ireland in 1884 and had 2 children with her, including sculptor Mary Alice Swan. He was elected Associate in the Royal Art Academy in 1894. He was appointed a member of the Dutch Watercolour Society in 1885 and associated with the Royal Society of Painters of Watercolours in 1896, and a full member of in 1899. He was awarded first-class gold medals for painting and sculpture in the Paris exhibition in 1900. A master of colours, watercolour and pastel mediums, an accomplished painter and a skillful draftsman, he ranks also as a sculptor of distinguished ability, having worked in nearly every material. He's treated a human figure with notable power, but it is by his representation of the larger wild animal, mainly the felidea, that he chiefly established his reputation. In this branch of practice, he is scaly revival. And here we have Mary Ann Jacobs. She was born in 1825 and she died on the 28th of October in 1905. She was the eldest daughter of James Jacob of Lesland Godshill. Here we have Thomas Foster. He was born on the 12th of June 1843 in Belsay, Northumberland. He died on the 1st of June 1903. You can see the Saxonness to it. And what impresses me is there's the little spire on the top. It's like it's a village church, and yet they made sure there was a spire on it as well, albeit small as it is. This is the south door then. Here we have John Jolliffe. He was born in 1823 and passed away on the 12th of September 1891, aged 67 or 68. He was a Staff Sergeant in the Royal Navy. He was from Thorncliffe in Niton, second son of the late Colonel William Jolliffe. This is one of the main pathways in the churchyard, and these are actually old stones and graves that have either fallen over or replaced or right here we've got a bit of a family grave by the looks of it. The Clarks, we've got Constance Evelyn Clark, born on the 7th of November 1871, and then she passed on the 3rd of January 1891. And underneath we've got Ernest Bidwell Clark, 30th of July 1874 to 21st of January 1891. And then underneath we have William Henry Chatfield Clark, CA, father of the above, born October the 7th, 1831, died February the 1st, 19,000. And Catherine, his wife, was born the 12th of September 1844 and died the 1st of May 1903. Then at the top we've got Florence Mary Otley. The date of birth is unknown, but she was born in Esher, Elmbridge, Surrey. Her death was the 14th of September 1940. She was the daughter of William Henry and Catherine Chatfield Clark, and the wife of Major G.G. Otley, Koyli, who was killed at the Somme on the 3rd of September, which is actually today, 1916. So rest in peace, sir, and thank you for your service. So, unfortunately, it's the anniversary of Major Otley's death today. And underneath Major Otley we also have Diane, Women's Royal Navy, only child of Florence Mary and Glendower George Otley, who died October the 21st, 1944. Thank you for your service too, man. Arthur Henry Penkerville Clark. He was born on the 13th of December 1869 and died on the 8th of November 1949, aged 79. And with him is his wife, Claire Geraldine Harley Clark. She was born on the 23rd of April 1884 and died on the 12th of March 1977, aged 92. Looks like we had a sundial there, but unfortunately the top bit's broken off. A shame. Here we have in memory of Sarah, which would be Sarah Hales. She was born in 1850. She died on the 29th of May 1973. The beloved wife of Robert Hales, who died on May the 28th, 1873, aged 28 years. Also Arthur, their son, which you can't see down at the bottom, unfortunately. So here we have Mary Ann Vince, beloved wife of George Vince, who was born in 1829 and died on the 17th of May 1895. And along with her is George himself. George's dates are all unknown, unfortunately. This one here we got in memory of Liza, the beloved wife of George Colnut, died January 28th, 1849, aged 35. Then also which fell asleep. Here we got in memory of Georgiana Cope, wife of James Cope Esquire, who died the 10th of August 1849, aged 32. Granddad, daughter and heiress of the Lieutenant Colonel George Arnold. So looking at this, the smaller one we see, William Cheek, I'm assuming that is this gentleman's son. This is in loving memory of William Cheek, who departed his life on the 10th of October 1786, aged 69. You can see the Saxonness to it. And what presses me is the little spire on the top. It's like, it's a village church. Yeah. I made sure there was a spire on it as well. All It's small as it is. This is the south door then. The glory of God in the memory of the Isle of Wight branch of the Kirkpatrick's. I can't really read the writing, but and this is the memorial for George Arnold Square, which we see outside. And if you can see, there's the work at the top there, which is holding Pelican. Yet again, another Queen Anne. Robson Cameron Foster, who died 19th of October 1990 in a military hospital in Auckland, New Zealand, aged 35, of wounds received in France 1916. Thank you for your service, sir. Another wonderful window. Colours are just beautiful. memory of the Reverend John Parish, MA, of Lingwood Hall, Cumberland, Rector of the Parish and Justice of the Peace for the counties of Cumberland and Hants, for the 25th day of June 1714, died the 15th day of January 1828, elected by his nephew, John Morris. Underneath we have in loving memory of William Mortimer, which must be part of the Mortimer plot, which is the father, which, so that answers that then. William Mortimer was JP, Justice of the Peace, of Mount Cleaver's Niton, Isle of Wight, eldest son of the late William and Elizabeth Mortimer of Montcleaves, born August 8th, 1814 and died March the 25th, 1895. Nice to see it at a church with a lot more, especially a church so old. No disrespect to the building, but to have so much modern art. It's in the Bible. Beautiful church. Roof's very different to what you normally see with the beams. Here we seem to have the Mortimer plot. In the first one here, we seem to have Elizabeth, date of birth unknown, but she died on the 27th of July 1837. Which reminds me of the St John's ambulance badge, maybe because we are at St John's, but on the wall here is see the ashes, scattered memorial stones. There's a bit of a pathway here made with stones. Here we got Harriet Hester Kirkpatrick, born the 4th of February 1791, died 26th of May 1868, along with Elizabeth Susan Kirkpatrick, born the 18th of December 1794 and died 27th of April 1891. Taking their sisters. And then we got Richard Temple Godman Kirkpatrick, born the 1st of July 1832 and died on the 10th of April 1916. And here we have Frederick Viglet, who was born in 1817 and died the 17th of June 1875. There's not much said about him. He was born and died in Niton, And also buried with him is his wife, Miss Elizabeth, who was born in 1830, but they're not quite sure what month she passed. It's 30th and it's 1896, so she would be around about 65, 66. Here we have a man of outstanding attribute to what he did for the underprivileged to make sure that they could read for free. Edward Edwards, 1812 to 1886, was a British librarian, a biographer. He was an important figure in the establishment for free libraries in the United Kingdom. He died and is buried at Niton. Edward was born at Stepney in London on the 14th of December 1812. His father, Anthony Turner Edwards, was a builder and apprentice his son to his trade at the age of 14. There is no record of Edward's education and early employment. However, it is known that he attended the Kingsway's House Chapel, where he was influenced by the Reverend Thomas Binney. Also, Edwards received private lessons from Edwin Abbott, who was his teacher, a member of German reading circle of the Marylebone Literature and Scientific Institution. In the 1830s, Edwards developed interest in education, library science and industrial art. A wide range of these pursuits may be traced to frequency of Edward's presence at functions of the Society of Wranglers, a radical art and literary discussion club. Among the members of the society were George Goodwin, Henry Hayward and Margarita Hayward, sister of the latter, future wife of Edward. After his father's business went bankrupt in 1832, young Edward seems to have depended entirely on the financial compensation of his research and writings. In 1836 he published anonymously a pamphlet in which he argued against various restrictions which at the time made education unacceptable to a small elite. Later that year, Edwards published an open letter to Benjamin Hawes, who sat at the Parliamentary Selection Committee on the British Museum. The letter contained numerous suggestions to the improvement of the museum. Being a co-founder of the Art Union of London, Edward soon appointed as honorary secretary. In 1840, however, Edward had to leave the union in disgrace, having squandered over £300 of its funds. After some time of research in France, Edwards published a work on engraving by the process of Archie Colas. When Edwards returned to London, he was asked by James MacArthur to help him with the research of his account of New South Wales. Edwards did not appear in connection with the work, even though it was presumed he wrote a large part of it. On the 11th of June 1844, Edward married Margarita, who he had met at the Society of Wranglers. Meanwhile, Edward's open letter about improving the library of the British Museum had attracted the attention of authorities, with the result that when Edwards applied to Antonio Pazzini in 1838, the museum newly elected keeper of printed books was inclined to hear about him. In 1839, Edwards joined the staff and became a supernumerary assistant in the printed book department, for especially employment on new catalogue orders by the trustees. Together with Pazzini, John Winter-Jones, Thomas Watt and John Humphrey Parry, Edwards worked out 91 rules for the formation of his new catalogue. Besides that, Edward Edwards was assigned the duty of cataloguing the Thomas collection of traits and pamphlets printed during the English Civil War, Commonwealth and Restoration period. By the late 1840s, Edward focused his attention on the statistics of libraries and on comprehensive librarianship, whose results, which were often published, were criticised by other librarians as largely unreliable, as Mr. A. Watts, Edward's colleague and one of the biggest opponents, wrote a series of collective letters in rebuttal of Edward's article using the signature verifier. Nevertheless, Edward has also gained supporters, the most prominent of which being William Ewart, also being involved in the Art Union of London and those Committee on Free Libraries in 1850, organised the Public Libraries Act. The librarianship of the first appointment free library established under Ewart Act was offered to Edwards, who was happy to accept his superior at the British Museum was frequently dissatisfied with his work of ethics. Edwards accordingly became the first librarian of Manchester Free Library. Soon after he was dismissed from the museum's library in 1850. During this time at the Manchester Free Library, Edwards developed a classic catalogue which was published in 1855. In the form of letters to Sir John Potter, chairman of the Library Committee. It was not long, however, until the management became aware of Edward's frequent absence and his conduct of private research during his work time, which finally led to his dismissal in 1858. Having been dismissed by 2 libraries in less than a decade, Edward turns towards science, both in the field of literature and librarianship. Aside from the works listed below, he also wrote several articles of the 8th edition of the Encyclopaedia Britannica. Edward's biography of Sir Walter Raleigh has been praised particularly for the 2nd volume because it contains for the first time a complete edition of Raleigh's correspondence. The first volume, containing the memoir, however, appeared almost simultaneously with that of James Augustus St. John, and it was remarked with surprise that each biographer appeared to be deficient in whatever gave interest to the others, and that 2 would need to be blended to produce a really satisfactory work. From 1870 to 1876, Edward was engaged to catalogue the library of Queen's College, Oxford, which marked a happy period in his life, only disrupted by the death of his wife in 1876. In the formation of the Library Association in 1877, Edwards was proposed as the first president, but had to refuse due to his deafness. Nevertheless, Edwards accepted working at the library in 1877 to 1883. Calendar the Carte paper, the Library Association elected Edwards as an honorary member in 1882. In the same year, he was asked to revive the article's new paper and post office for the 9th edition of the Encyclopaedia Britannica. After Edwards was dismissed from the engagement at Oxford due to economic shortages, he retired to Niton on the Isle of Wight and accompanied himself with projects for a 2nd edition of his Memoirs of Libraries, and with great alteration and improvement. Edward spent his final years in poverty and was taken in rent-free by Reverend John Harrison, a Baptist minister, after having been thrown out of a non-payment of rent. On November 1885, he got lost in an excursion and was found later several days in a state of hypothermia, shouting inside a roofless building next to St. Catherine's Ottery, and afterwards developed pneumonia. He was found dead in his room on the 7th of February 1886 and was buried in this graveyard of the local church on the 10th of February. His grave remained unmarked until 1902, when biographer Thomas Greenwood paid his debts and erected a monument in his name. And this one, we got the beloved memory of Mary Elizabeth, wife of James Chichley Plowden, Colonel of Bengal Army. She was born December the 28th, 1808, and after a happy union of 35 years, died at Niton after catching something. Can't read that. 29th of September 1868. But one unique stone as well. Well, the cage, the metal cage around it looks like the top of love hearts and such forth. It does look very different, but very caged in. Here we have one of 4 Commonwealth graves, ready from the first one. 16688 W.J. Seeley, Leicestershire Regiment, died 15th of November 1917, aged 36. Thank you for your service, sir. Here we have in loving memory of Stephen Saunders, who departed his life October the 29th, 1822, aged 74. And also Mary Ann, his wife, who departed his life May 15th, 1887, aged 78. And over here, erected by Nancy O. Gilmore Letts, in loving memory of her dear husband, Edmund Albert Letts, BSc, PhD, FRSE, Professor of Chemistry, Queen's University, Belfast. February the 19th, age 65, 1818 at 65. It also here we have in loving memory of Agnes Constant Peach, beloved wife of William James Blower, Royal Navy, died December the 6th, 1925, aged 54. We have in loving memory of Stanley Charles Russell Crawford, Wing Commander, the RAF, OBE, TD, who died August the 10th, 1930, aged 50 years. Thank you for your service, sir. Another one of the Commonwealth War graves. We have Private 529605 J.E. Moore, Canadian Army Medical Corps, died June the 28th, 1918, age 40. Thank you for your service, sir. Here we have another one. Looks a bit more dirtier than the others. It's not been cleaned up properly. This is 5531 WOIRSM, but I'll take it, that's the regimental sergeant major. And it looks like TW hat MC and bar. Royal Dublin Fusiliers, 30th of July, 1919, age 40. Thank you for your service, sir. As you can see, look, they're all gravestones to lead the whole path. Here we have in loving memory of Major Albert Henry Bailey, Major of the 6th Manchester Regiment, the Street Lodge. He died the 28th of May 1906, aged 38. Thank you for your service, sir. And inside here, this is even, there's a medal. Let's see if I can zoom in. It's got campaigns. Queen Victoria. ever loving memory of Cecil Edmund Found, born the 7th of the 3rd, 1897, who died the 15th of the 3rd, 1965, and Marjorie Mary Found, née Flawn, born the 19th of May, 1903, died the 31st of August 1982. That's literally just gone, his anniversary. As always, I'd like to pay my respects to the local men who gave their lives in the Great War. Thank you for your service, gentlemen. Right, that's it then for this episode of Cemetery Strolls. Thank you muchly for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did finding out and discovering this wonderful little church. So, I will say, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, or even comment if there's anything you could leave for information on anybody. So, thank you muchly again for watching, and I hope to see you in my next episode.